the 3-4 Minnesota Vikings traveling to Detroit to battle the 5-2 Lions. Hey, KOC, what do you think?
Obviously, an NFC North game on the road. We're 1-0 this year in the NFC North. We've got to try to compete like crazy in a really talented division, a tough place to go play. Dan Campbell, one of the best head coaches in the NFL, getting his team ready to play. So it's going to be a challenge.
Will McCarthy come back to save the day and lead the Vikings to their first win in Detroit since 2021? Or will the Lions roar to beat the Vikings yet again, showing everyone who runs the NFC North? Here are the fellas.
Welcome to the Week 9 edition of the official Purple Skull Squad show. We're Minnesota Viking fans. Yes, this is a big week indeed, Tony Bell, because we're going to get the future back in the saddle for the Minnesota Vikings. But they probably face their toughest opponent of the year, an opponent that, as stated in the open, great job by Quality Control. They have not won in Detroit since 2021. And I'm not going to tease the inside the numbers, but there are spreading numbers that have had this Vikings team anywhere from 8.5-point to 10-point underdogs, Tony. It does not look like this is going to be a game in which the Minnesota Vikings are going to do well. I mean, that's the only way to put it. This Detroit team is on all cylinders. Dan Campbell owns Kevin O'Connell, obviously. Your thoughts about this matchup, and then we'll get into previewing the show rundown, and then I'll give you some insight on who's doing the game.
Well, first things first, who doesn't own Kevin O'Connell?
Yeah, right.
It's
a pretty big list, actually.
Yeah, it's not a I mean, I'm not surprised. Dan Campbell, say what you want about him with his comments and all that, but he got that locker room to buy into what he's doing. And
they play for him. They play really, really hard.
They play for him. And then you look at what's going on with our Minnesota Vikings, and it is a cluster F of stuff. It's like all week, you hear what happened with Carson Wentz. He's on IR with the shoulder. The shoulder was bad in London, and you still paraded him out there, and he wasn't hitting on passes at all. And that should have been, now, if you're a head coach, you're out there to try to win, but instead you kept him out there to take a beating, and you've got Max Brosmer, who knows the playbook better than Carson Wentz, and you won't play him. There's a lot of questions, and now
there's a lot of things we're going to dive into. We'll do that in our purple headlines in just a skosh. But yes, Tony, that is stuff, and we're going to hear from Kevin O'Connell, his rebuttal to that. Then we can really kind of sink our teeth into it, because there's stuff he said there at the end of it that I don't like, that I feel is the true indictment of what we've been talking about on the show, and which he's got to improve. He's got to be able to show Tony the ability to make adjustments, and that is going to come. I know you're going to present that in X's and O's. Really quickly, some facts about this game coming up, and this isn't a good thing for the Minnesota Vikings. The ref crew for this game is going to be Clay Martin's crew. And if you know Clay Martin's name,
is that the face mask in LA crew?
That is the crew, the one where Fran Tarkenton took him to the woodshed. There he is, Clay Martin. If we had Patrick Mahomes as our starting quarterback, we'd be all set. This would be a guaranteed win, because he loves Patrick Mahomes. I believe he's 7-0 in Mahomes games. He also was the guy, Tony, that after Harrison Phillips got a penalty, he thought his mic was off. I believe this was the 31-29 loss at US Bank Stadium when the two teams met, and it was there was a penalty called, and Harrison Phillips didn't like it. And then Clay Martin, after he did the penalty, says, "And I'll talk to you later." Like he questioned Harrison Phillips, like, "I'm going to talk to you later," like reprimand you, but he forgot to turn his mic off.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. So this is who we're going to deal with in this matchup, is the Clay Martin crew, who's notably in between on penalty calls, averages around 15 a game. Hopefully he lets these two teams decide it on their own and doesn't get in the way like he did in that infamous Thursday night game.
Well,
in Los Angeles a year ago.
hopefully what the ref crew does is let them play. They're going to call
Right.
penalties. That's just the way
Yeah,
it is.
that's just how.
But here's the thing. The Vikings can't shoot themselves in the foot.
No, and they've done a good job of that already with more penalties, false starts than just about anybody else in the NFL. So these are things that certainly have to be cleaned up. The game will be on NFL Fox. They're giving us the number 1 team apparently for this game. It's the feature game nationally. So God help us, because hopefully the Vikings will be able to put up some kind of show when everyone's going to
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sick of the Vikings being on national TV. I just make it regional and be done with it.
But at least it's an afternoon Sunday game, so maybe they have a choice. This isn't prime time. This isn't a late game. We're not overseas. This is playing in a 1 o'clock slot, 12 o'clock Central.
Yeah.
So maybe that will help them, Tony Bell.
Yeah, it's if there is going to be an ass kicking, at least
just
it'll
get
be
it over quickly.
It'll be over by 3, and we can watch the rest of the games.
Or we could flip it on another game, because it could be one of those games. So that means that Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi will have the game from Ford Field. The question that we're throwing out there, please respond. You'll have your opportunity here. We can read your statements here as we're going along the show. Tony and I here will do so. The question is very simple. There's 2 of them, actually. I got 2 of them. So the first one is J.J. McCarthy getting a fair handshake from the Vikings fan base? Yes or no? Interesting question. And then the other question that I have up there, we'll get into this as well, Tony, in Purple Headlines. Has KC lost the locker room a bit? And a very prominent Minnesota Viking defensive player, Jonathan Grenard, said that's absolutely ridiculous. Don't listen to any media that spurned that out there. We love Kevin O'Connell. So that I will respond. Jonathan Grenard responded to that question. But that's not to say that he might not lose this locker room if things happen like they did last Thursday night here in LA. If the games start going like that, I'm going to guess there's going to be a few players that are going to spark up and not be so happy with the trajectory of the Minnesota Vikings. So again, is J.J. McCarthy getting a fair handshake from the Minnesota Vikings fan base? Because a lot of people are saying he's a bust. He's played 8 quarters of football, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? I remind you of Sam Darnold. I remind you of Daniel Jones. Okay? Those guys, everyone, why can't we get those guys back? Well, maybe you have one in J.J. McCarthy. Mark Balk says no. He's not getting a fair shot from the Vikings fan base. Jennifer Olson said, quote, and this is an interesting viewpoint, I don't think KOC and JJ are a good match. He wants a different style of quarterback. I know you said that, Tony, mentioning the fact that, and I've talked about it, that JJ's a guy who does better when he's freer to roam. Yeah. RPO. That doesn't necessarily fit Kevin O'Connell's offense.
And by the way, Eric, when you look at the quarterbacks we have on the roster, who fits that quarterback role that KOC wants their quarterback to play?
Brosmer.
Yeah.
The UDFA.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to play him, obviously. We're going to get into that. He didn't want to play him when his quarterback was screaming and crying on the sideline because of the pain he was in. So either that, or it's a conspiracy, Tony, that he wants to make sure, like we've seen in Vikings head coaching in the past with quarterbacks, they don't want to upstage their main guy, right? So if JJ's the main guy.
Well, that's because before we had, who I will not say his name,
right?
We had a quarterback whose ego was so fragile, you couldn't put anybody.
But you had to have Sean Mannion as the backup, correct?
Right. So you got somebody to, basically carry his books for him and make him treat him like big man on campus. You couldn't have anybody give him any type of, you got competition. No.
How stupid is that? Because if Max, no, we don't like that.
No, we don't like that.
We don't want to hear from you. We're going to talk about you in a second.
By the way, QC, you were a little too happy with that intro with the Lions. We need to talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it after the show. A little extra on the roar. Not sure about that. I don't know if we like that here in our world of the official Purple Skull Squad show for Minnesota Vikings. That's right. We have to cry about everything right now. 3 and 4, you get to cry. That's right, and we shall. Yes, and we're very sad right now. And fact, maybe you can get a costume for Halloween. This outfit is out there. You certainly could look like a sad Viking fan. It wouldn't cost you very much.
I don't think that one dude is sad. I think that one dude is hungover.
I think he's in a different world. I don't even know if he knows what stadium is in there. It's hard to tell. Yes, the Vikings have certainly all made us feel sad many times, pretty much every single year we've been alive. There's a certain point that it's going to happen. So will it be this Sunday when our Vikings go into Detroit? Well, let's get to the purple headlines. Let's talk about it. This story, Tony Bell, had me absolutely scratching my head. Apparently, if you believe this, the Minnesota Vikings, so I'm guessing it had to be Kwesi, placed a call to the Atlanta Falcons to see if Kirk Cousins was available. Now, I know there's some people that would be really happy with that. I know one person in particular would have been overjoyed to see that happen, the one, Torrey Holt. But I don't think that – I think Kirk Cousins would definitely have waived some of his salary because apparently the story says he had no interest in taking a pay cut from his $180 million. I tell you right now, Kirk Cousins has so much money that if he had an opportunity to go somewhere else, Tony, and start, I have imagining he would actually take a little less to do that. I at this point, it's either that or he's going to be sitting there watching Michael Penix for the whole year and not doing anything. And by his performance in that 34-10 loss to Miami, you don't have a lot to stand on there, Kirk, to get a number one job in the NFL anymore. I mean, what team would possibly – the Vikings are out. I mean, they signed John Wolford, 30-year-old journeyman, 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions, 600 yards in his career, was with Kevin O'Connell back with the Rams. So Kirk's definitely not coming back to Minnesota. I mean, I think. I don't know.
Thank God is all I'm going to say.
I don't know, though. With this front office, who knows? Right? And the fact that they actually –
question.
Right?
Let's start asking this question. You brought that up about the front office.
Go talk about it.
Who's really calling the shots? Okay, you've got Kwesi is the face that gets in front of the TV and the media, does the talking. He's the cap. He's kind of a cap guy, but he doesn't know football. Okay, his assistant is Ryan Grigson, who is supposedly the football guy.
Mm-hmm.
So who is making these terrible personnel decisions?
And the more I read about what Kwesi would have preferred, Tony Bell, maybe Kwesi deserves a little. Maybe we don't jump on him as much. We're going to get into his draft prowess, which is what we can jump on him for, because it's in fact, I'll mention it right now. Kwesi right now in his own division since 2022, Tony Bell, drafting success. This means players that have actually started on your team. Mm-hmm. There it is. Okay. So he's drafted 29 players, and the Minnesota Vikings are in 4th place there as well. The Lions at 34%, the Packers at 30%. Goes to show you how hard it is to draft players. The Bears at 28%. Kwesi and our Vikings are at 12.1% of players that get to go on the field after being drafted.
You do know why that is, don't you?
The scouting staff has something to do with it.
Here's what it is. And this goes all the way up to the top. It starts with Mark Wolf. And when Mark Wolf made that comment about competitive rebuild, they've been in a competitive rebuild since KLC got here, so they can't truly rebuild. The biggest problem when KLC got here, the worst thing he could have did was win 13 games his first year.
Yeah.
When he won that 13 games, they thought they could skate the next year with that same roster, add a couple of pieces, and they'd be okay. Well, they weren't. And so the year after that, they start adding some pieces. But guess what? They're veteran pieces. Well, guess what? Your defense is starting to get turnovers. You've got Sam Darnold, who's the type of quarterback that Kwesi wants. You win 14 games. Now, guess what? You think you're fine. So you've got a team that's veteran-laden, and you add more veterans, albeit they're injury-prone, which you should have known about this when you signed them. But you're going to give the keys to your number 1 draft pick, who is your franchise QB, who your Viking coaching career and front office career depends on him. And right now, it's not looking too good. And
for obvious reasons, and for the reason that just states this, Tony, if this is true, that Kwesi's number one choice was Drake May, and they didn't finalize that. And now you see what Drake May is doing in New England. It's easy to jump on his bandwagon right now. Okay, even though JJ's only played in 2 games, ladies and gentlemen. So you can't make that an accurate assumption. JJ's got to get the rest of this year, and then you got to make sure that offensive line can protect him. He'll get next year as well, is my assumption, is what's going to happen. But if it goes really bad this year, and let's just say that's a possibility. If JJ gets hurt again, looks like he did in that Atlanta game for how many games he's in there the rest of the way, then you could possibly have a Josh Rosen situation where the very next year you're selecting a quarterback with your first pick. Now, that's going to be on Kevin O'Connell more so than Kwesi, than by the stories that I've read. And we know this, Tony. Jim Harbaugh was Kwesi's first choice to be head coach anyways. KOC was not.
No, this is what we got to look at. People need to do, if they're going to really examine this, they need to do a deep dive and examine it the way it should be. Kwesi wanted Harbaugh. The front office said no.
Yeah.
Kwesi wanted Drake May. The front office said no. If I'm Kwesi, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge, because whatever I say,
I'll be like, you know what, guys?
Yeah, you
this
know
is
what
I wanted. This is what you gave me. I got to go.
Right. And also, let's bring this up now. Let's bring this up. Do you think Drake May would favor any better behind this offensive line? And with KOC
5,
calling
6, no
plays? No.
5, 6,
Guess what? He's got
no way.
You know what he's got?
way.
You know what he's got in New England? And I'll give New England all the credit in the world for this. No. Oh, okay.
Here she goes.
Yeah, here she goes. Here, I'm going to give
world.
the Patriots credit for this. You got a real football coach in Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
And you got one of the best offensive coordinators to ever coach in the NFL in Josh McDaniel. He sucks as a head coach, but he's a damn good offensive coach. And he's working with Drake May. Poor J.J. McCarthy is stuck behind KOC, who this is his first gig calling plays.
It just goes to show you, too, as well, Tony, that what Josh McDaniels is doing in New England is playing to Drake May's strengths. And that is to go outside of the pocket, extend plays, use that cannon arm of his. Oh, but when that doesn't open up, Drake May happens to be the New England Patriots leading rusher. Now, does that say how bad the Patriots running backs are? A little bit, maybe. Yes, could be. And eventually the Patriots will have to face a good team. Okay, quality control. Eventually they'll have to face a good team. So they probably need to boost that running game up, which there are a lot of running backs that could be had.
Do they? What happened to the number one guy, the guy they drafted?
Well, Ramondre Stevenson is their lead guy. Has had problems with fumbling. Henderson, their number one guy from Ohio State.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's had issues with pass blocking, and he just hasn't taken off yet. But he's young. Again, he's young.
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie, okay? And
here's the thing. There's another thing with fans and with the front offices. You drafted these guys. It's their first year.
yeah,
This is on-the-job training for them.
it is.
You got to cut him some slack. We've got to cut JJ some slack because this is on-the-job training for him.
As ugly as it might look, especially this Sunday.
Right. But here's the problem with that. Your head coach / signal caller is not doing him any favors.
No.
That's the biggest problem.
And let's get into that because that segues perfectly, Tony Bell, into the Carson Wentz situation, which a lot of reporters asked the question to Kevin O'Connell. Here was Kevin O'Connell's quote, and I want you to listen to the entirety of it, and then we'll get to that very last part of it. Here's Kevin O'Connell talking about the Carson Wentz situation, which we all visualized last Thursday.
I think, in this circumstance, we managed, the injury with, as much communication as possible, as much information gathering as possible, as much dialogue with the player to make sure that everybody knew exactly, what the situation was. And he had played in a game against the Eagles and kind of, played the whole game and really had no significant issues. So It was a circumstance of he took some hits in that game as well, and might have had some similar reactions, like a lot of guys do when they take some of those hits. That's part of playing the quarterback position, and unfortunately, with some of the circumstances we've had with our offense, that's become far too normal.
Too normal.
Can I talk?
Yes.
Here? Hey, QC, you might want to put up the parental advisory. I'm here. That was the biggest bunch of word salad garbage BS I've ever heard come out of his mouth. This is why I don't listen to KOC's pressers. First of all, you are the head coach. It's your job. Are you trying to win the game? Or are you just trying to pad stats and make yourself look good because you got NFL Coach of the Year last year? Because right now you suck. When you saw that Carson Wentz was not hitting on his passes, even the short screen passes out in the flat that any quarterback can hit, you knew something was wrong. You knew he was hurt. You should have pulled him to give your team the best chance to win, but you didn't. You left him out there with a porous offensive line. You've got Blake Brandel at center, a position he's never played before, and the guy gets his ass kicked for 2 weeks in a row. He guts it out. Of course, every player, take it from one who used to play, every player is going to play hurt because it's a machismo thing too. So you want to prove that you ain't no, you know what, and you want to go out there and you want to kick ass and you're going to play through the pain. But guess what? As a head coach, for what's best for your team, you got to know when to pull the plug.
And here's the other aspect, and perfect timing by quality control. So your offensive line, he just said it's too normal what's happening, that his quarterbacks is getting hit all the time. So, Tony Bell, you need to adjust. And maybe you've got to talk within yourself. You got to go to Wes Phillips and say, let's change this up a little bit. Let's do something. Like maybe run the ball more than 39% of the time. Okay?
Yeah, that help.
You might like it. Mason's averaging 4.4 yards a carry. That's actually
pretty
good. Okay? But he's only getting 12 carries a game when you round that off. That's not good. Future running backs need to get the ball somewhere between 15 to 20 times, at least running it, and maybe a few times out of the backfield. Now with Aaron Jones Sr. back, you might mix that up a little bit. Sure, you want to show some diversity between the two backs. But that right there, the fourth most passes in the NFL at 61%, with that offensive line that is banged up with a first-round pick in Donovan Jackson, who had just come back from injury and is struggling, which first-round picks, as we've said, learning to play in the NFL, it's going to happen. So you got Brandel out of position. You got a first-round pick off of injury in Donovan Jackson. You got Will Fries pretty much holding the whole offensive line together because Darrisaw's hurt, can't complete a game, which means Justin School, the turnstile, has to be in at left tackle. And then you got O'Neal, who's got an injury on the right side, which then means you got to play Walter Rouse, a guy you didn't even have suited up for some reason early in the year. So what does this all mean? It means you got to work hard at getting those offensive linemen to be a unit cohesively and tell them we're running the ball, especially this week. Got to be able to run the football this week.
What have I said since we've had a show? What is the best thing to get an offensive line to get some confidence and feel good about themselves? What's the best thing to do?
Run the ball, Tony. And you've said that. And the confidence that an offensive line gets, especially you get a few big runs, you build on that confidence, you wear down the Detroit defense, you open things up for the passing game too, because the safety is going to have to come down and play inside and try to shoot the gaps to help the defense out.
We can literally have a coach. We hired this guy to be the next Sean. He was regarded as the next Sean McVay. That's why they hired him. Well, guess what? What does Sean McVay do this year? He runs a damn ball.
He runs it a lot.
He runs it a lot.
He ran the ball too much. He ran for it against San Francisco on the 4th and 1, which was actually the logical choice to do.
Yes.
And Kyron was stopped. The 49ers had a perfect call defensively, but it was the logical thing to do. McVay will run the ball.
If you cannot get a yard on the ground,
yeah, then you deserve to lose. I'm
right.
sorry.
But here's the thing. Guess what? Kevin O'Connell won't even try to run the ball on 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1.
I mean, mean, it was so evident in Los Angeles on Thursday night. What are you doing? And you know what that does? That sends a message to Tony, not only to your offensive line, but to your running backs. Like, I don't trust you guys to get a yard. I'm going to throw it.
Yeah.
And that will lead, as the season goes on, if that continues, that will lead to that locker room dissension. Because then, people are like, hey, well, I'm not being used properly. What am I going to do?
Could be, and here's the thing. It could be fractioning now. It could be fracturing.
And let's face it, on Sunday it could fracture a lot if
depending on what happens Sunday, depending on how the game turns out, it could get blown completely off the hinges.
It could that quickly, and it won't be something that festers, Tony. It's just going to happen and just blow up. And then the worst part of it will be is when our best player, Justin Jefferson, says, I think I'm wasting my time here. I think, you know what?
I think you're going to
place where I'm going to have a quarterback that I can have for 3 or 4 years that we can make beautiful music.
Can I bring up something too? Maybe you're going to segue into this anyway. Okay. We've heard the trade rumors about Jordan Addison.
Yes.
Now there's also trade rumors about TJ Hawkinson.
Yes. And that was actually my next thing. I was just going to segue.
Okay.
Vikings buyers or sellers, but I guess it'll be determinate on what happens on Sunday.
Here's the thing. Is this team bound to determine to give J.J. McCarthy no weapons at all?
Yeah, it could be. You know what? If they did that, Tony, if they give J.J. McCarthy 1 week with T.J. Hawkinson and Jordan Addison and then trade these two guys at the deadline,
you know what?
I will find that to be so
egregious.
Malpractice just from the front office of stupidity.
It is.
Stupidity. First of all, Jordan Addison's. We're going to get into him here in just a second because he is our Purple Skull Squad player focus. But Jordan Addison and JJ have a beautiful rapport together. We saw it in preseason. I think that's one of the exciting things to watch on Sunday is if JJ builds confident, who's he going to be throwing the ball to? I have a feeling
it'll be Jordan,
number 3.
Because we know Detroit, and Detroit's hurting in the secondary. Let's just put that
hurting. Vikings are going to, unfortunately, KOC is going to be pass happy because that secondary says it can be exploited. That's if the offensive line somehow can stop the
who is playing center
crazy force. What's that?
Who's going to play center on Sunday? Is it Jurgens?
Jurgens. I think they should. If he's
if
healthy,
if you're gonna go to lesser of two evils, you got to go Jurgens.
Or maybe put Brandel. Maybe you kind of mix them up a little, depending. Just to keep them fresh. I don't know because it's like the Vikings are being hit with so many injuries, and that's not an excuse. Tony and I are not here to make because look what San Francisco's doing. Okay, look what Tampa Bay's doing with all the injuries that they're fit. There's no excuses. Football, there's injuries. It's gonna happen.
It's part of the game.
Next man up. But if you were to ask me, like, who would I would think Jurgens because that's his natural position, and Brandel could go back. Maybe Brandel plays tackle because is O'Neal 100%? Is Darisaw going to be able to finish a game? I'd rather see Brandel at tackle than Justin Scholes.
I'm hearing O'Neal's going to play.
Yeah, and there's some good news. It looks like Alex Van Ginkel is coming back too. That will finish up Purple headlines. Van Ginkel is expected to play on Sunday. For how many plays, yet to be determined. But if the Vikings can get him back, that's more pressure on Goff. That could help the Vikings defense out a little bit.
And let's bring this up too. When we brought in Allen and Hargrave, the biggest question mark with Detroit was their interior from center to 2 guards. They're brand new. So if they're going to make it, and Jalen Redmond, if these guys are going to make a point, they make it Sunday, it's going to be that interior.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Step up.
I would agree with that, and they're going to have to figure out how to stop Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. I think that's the first thing. I know that's crazy because Goff certainly has his pick of what wide receivers or tight end he wants to go to, and that offense is a problem because the Vikings.
Well, here's the thing also too
to attack them.
Ben Johnson had this team's number.
Yeah,
this is another guy. I don't know who this guy is.
Morton.
Yeah. It's Morton. So it's going to take. We're going to have to need, and I'll get into my X's and O's. We're going to need both KOC and Brian Flores to call the game of their life. to beat
Yes,
this team.
and here's the thing too: the Lions have watched the tape, Tony Bell, of what's transpired over the last 4 weeks with the Vikings.
Yeah.
Vikings against jumbo formation have been absolutely gouged to death.
Yeah,
And
because
by the way, the Lions already have a pretty good offensive line. Yes, you're talking about some young guys. Their center is new, but he's played better here recently. Rutledge is young, but he looks like he's going to play a part and really improve. And then you got Sewell on the end, who's one of the best, maybe, to play his position ever. He's up at the top 10.
he's up at the top
That
10.
good, okay? So here the Vikings are going to see some. Sure, Dan Campbell. Oh wow, get to put double tight end set, big. Okay, I love this. Love it. Love it. Let's run. Let's just run. And wasn't Detroit the team, Tony?
Mhm.
Was it in the last game of the year last year that ran the ball like 9 straight times against the Vikings?
Yeah, towards the end.
Towards the end, remember? He just
Yeah.
kept running. It was just like they didn't even pretend to pass, and they were just getting 5 yards, 4 yards, 7 yards. And they might try it right off the start just to say, here you go, Vikes. Can you stop us? Let's see what you can do before we spread the ball around. Because the Vikings are, as you know, I know Bill Dunkel loves to say on the show, they're smaller at the defensive line position. They're not. Listen, Jonathan Allen's a big man. He's 315. He's a big guy.
Both him and Hargrave are not making. They're not earning their money.
They're not earning the money. They've got to step up in this game. They've got to be at least 80% of what they've been for the Vikings to even have a chance to be in this ball game. They've got to play the game of their Viking careers. Like Hargrave's got to do what he did like he did in the first game against the Bears. Have 2 sacks, right? 2 sacks, 3 sacks. He's going to have to be helping out Jalen Redmond, helping out Blake Cashman, and Van Ginkel coming back for the first time. The Vikings are going to have to make plays defensively, and they got to know that Detroit's seen the tape, so Flores is going to have to show flexibility too, Tony.
Biggest turnover, biggest takeaway from this year and last year with this defense. I guess at this time last year, I saw the number at this point last year in games. The Viking defense had 24 turnovers.
Yeah.
And this year they've only got 3.
They're like in the last 2 of the NFL in turnovers. They're really bad. They're really bad. And that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
That is a gigantic difference. But that also, there's a few reasons for that. That means the pass rush is not nearly as good. That Flores' defense isn't fooling other teams as much as they did last year. Teams aren't biting on the look. And Goff, unfortunately for the Vikings, Jared Goff is one of the best quarterbacks percentage-wise against blitzing teams. So if Flores is going to want to blitz more than his 41%, because he's got to do something to not allow the Lions just to move the ball down the field at will. If he's going to choose to blitz, that's going to fit right into what Jared Goff does best.
If I'm playing Flores, I probably don't blitz because Goff is now mobile.
Yeah,
so he's not mobile. So guess what? I wouldn't blitz much at all.
I wouldn't either. I would allow my front line to do the dirty work, and I'm not. If it's really big, maybe give them a look like you're blitzing or pretend on a 0 and then get back. But then we know that the Vikings, that's an issue. They're kind of too slow getting back to their position. And this is an issue. Metellus is being exposed in coverage. Harrison Smith is getting too old.
He's old.
Get to the spots that
he is old.
Yeah,
he's old.
So there's issues with the secondary, which is being predicated on the fact that the Vikes aren't getting enough quarterback sacks. Although, Jalen Redmond is holding his part of the bargain.
Redmond right now is probably, if the Pro Bowl meant something, he would be my only choice right now for the Pro Bowl.
I would say so on the defensive side.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So let's quickly go to our Purple Skull Squad player focus. It's Jordan Addison. We've already talked about him a little bit. It's amazing because I thought, Jordan Addison, I was just thinking outside the box, Tony, he's 25, 26. He's 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it even harder because I know we've contemplated trade him, don't trade him. He's 23 years old.
Yeah.
He's getting better. I don't like that thought of even remotely trading away a 23-year-old who is arguably the best route runner on your team, probably better than Justin Jefferson, believe it or not, and happens to be J.J. McCarthy's favorite target so far.
Exactly.
So this year in preseason and everything. Those two had a great – so this guy especially this week, I think Jordan Addison has to have the game of his life. He's got to help his young quarterback out. And I just, on what he does on tape and watching him, I just want to feel confident enough to know, Tony, that, this former USC, Pittsburgh, tremendous receiver in college just gets it right off the field, because I think that's the only thing that can stop him from being one of the best wide receivers in all of football and being up there with Jettas and Jamar Chase, in that class. He has that ability. Now, he's only 5'11", 175. But if you've seen Jordan Addison, if you've seen some of his workout tapes, he's a very strong, small receiver.
He plays bigger. He plays bigger.
He plays bigger. And I think right now I would have to say on the offensive side for J.J. McCarthy, Tony, he's got to be one of the more important players moving forward if the Vikings plan to turn the ship around.
Well, he's the best route runner on the team, they say.
Yeah, and it was so exact. His route that he ran on the reception that he made against the Eagles, and they showed that at US Bank Stadium, it was a thing of beauty. It was just, there was no way to defend it. I mean, the Eagles cornerback did it. I think it was Cooper DeJean just did everything right, but it didn't matter because Jordan just ate him for lunch on the particular precise route, and there's no way you can cover it for that long a time. And when Jordan gets that space, it's going to make things happen.
And that's why I'm asking this for this team, this front office. This would be negligence on their part. You want your young quarterback to succeed. Give him the weapons. Now you're going to take away the weapons?
Keep Hawkinson. Do not trade him. Let Addison build a rapport with him. You can figure out contracts at the end of the season. Then you can determine what you want to do. But just let's see if this connection can grow into something that you're going to say, you know what, maybe we do pay Addison. Maybe we trade Justin Jefferson.
You know what, though? Cincinnati did it.
Yeah, they did. And the salary cap's going up.
And the salary cap's going up. It is going up.
And Jordan Addison's 23 years old, Tony. He seems like he's like 30 with all this stuff he's done off the field. It just seems like this guy, and he seems like he's been around for a lot longer than he has. He's 22 years old. He's getting better, and he's probably one of the top 3 best route runners. He's up there with Mike Evans in the NFL.
He's awesome, but I mean, it's the stuff off the field that
is a concern.
That's a concern.
And and I think that's something where the Vikings, that's a tough decision to make. That's a decision front offices, coaches, they've got to feel really confident that they're able to see.
And here's the thing right now. You deal Addison right now, you don't have anybody to step in and take it. Thielen's washed.
Yeah.
Naylor is Naylor.
He's going to be hurt.
And Felton is just basically a special teams guy.
He is. He's nowhere near ready to assume
right.
a second position.
Don't handicap your franchise quarterback. Don't handicap him.
No, don't. Give him all the weapons he can possibly have to see what J.J. McCarthy can or cannot be. We need to see it. That's what has to happen. Now, yes, quality control throws us up there before we get to around the NFC North. There's a statistic, J.J. McCarthy returning to play in the state of Michigan, where he is born. He has never lost a game in the state. Well, no pressure this week, JJ. No pressure whatsoever this week. And he figures he'd have to put his record on the line coming back from injury against arguably the best team in the NFC.
In a division game, but
the division game on the road, a place they haven't won in 4 years.
But I'll tell you what,
JJ, good luck. May the Schwartz be with you, buddy.
If JJ goes out there and actually pulls this off,
I will. You know what? I can't wait for next week's show because you know why? The narrative that's going to be out there.
The legend is born. If he goes to Detroit and pulls this off, the legend of J.J. McCarthy is going to be bigger than Joe Cap, Fran Tarkenton, Tommy Kramer. He's going to have – the legend will be born.
It would be a huge moment.
No.
But let's not put more pressure on him. It's a team game. We know the whole team's got to pick it up against Detroit.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's got a head coach who's also your play caller who's an ultimate moron, so –
all right, let's have all our wide receivers do fly patterns, 6-step drop. Don't worry, Hutchinson's not that fast. Don't worry. Just sit back there, be a man. If he hits you 32 times, it's okay. He won't hit you a 33rd time.
Well, and by the way, whoever's playing right tackle, we're not giving you any help blocking Hutchinson.
Oh yeah. Josh
And he
Oliver.
just got paid.
Yeah. That's going to be O'Neal with Josh Oliver, hopefully able to stop Hutchinson, who's setting.
Oliver's out. Oliver's out.
Oh, my God. Oh, who did we pick up? Sims.
Ben
Sims.
Sims.
Hey, Ben Sims, welcome. Your number one thing is to stop that guy right there. Just get in front of him as much as possible, and then you'll earn your paycheck. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Because Hutchinson's a beast right now. He's playing at a completely different level. He's up there with Myles Garrett. Hutchinson and Garrett are the two best defensive players in the NFL right now, and it's not close. It's not close. So, and by the way, I just read, Tony Bell, Myles Garrett ain't going nowhere. He might want to go somewhere, but the Cleveland Browns have said there is no way we're trading him. So their front office actually said you have a better chance to win the lottery than Myles Garrett being set free from Cleveland. So
that's okay. You know what? That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. If I'm Myles Garrett, then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to retire.
Well, Calvin Johnson did it. Barry Sanders.
I'm going to retire. Barry Sanders, Calvin, but that was Detroit before they were
good,
so
right?
But now Cleveland's taken over for what Detroit used to be. And if I'm Myles Garrett, I'm like, you know what? Fine.
And I think if a team gives you 3 first-round picks, Tony Bell, you might have to listen. I mean,
you might have to. And Cleveland is such a dumpster fire. I mean, they can't get it right at quarterback. I don't know how.
That's the only reason to go watch them play. I mean, he had 5 sacks against the Patriots. And he was taken out of the game. He was pissed because he wanted.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw him throw that.
He was pissed. He was like, "I want to go in there and get more sacks."
Yeah,
that's the kind of player he is.
And it's just if you're Cleveland now, and Stefanski's had that job way too long. For one playoff win, did he win a playoff game?
I don't know. I don't think so.
And he still has a job?
Yeah, I mean, I like Kevin Stefanski.
How bad is the coaching pool in the NFL nowadays?
But isn't this the same front office that thought Baker Mayfield wasn't good enough anymore and let him go? The Cleveland Browns have had such a horrific. We talk about our team developing a quarterback. The Browns could be the all-time worst at development. I mean, they did have Bernie Kosar. Remember him, Brian?
Yeah, but that was what though? That was before they left. That was before
they were reborn.
That was Art Modell's team.
Look at all the draft picks that they've had that they were unable to develop. Tim Couch,
like that meme of that guy that's got the jersey with all the quarterback names on it.
Yes.
And he's already to the front now. I mean, come on.
It's
and here's the thing: you've got Shedeur Sanders sitting there.
Let him play. You have to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Let him play. All right, quickly around the NFC North this weekend, Tony Bell, the Packers are home versus the Panthers, so that's probably going to make them 6-1 with Andy Dalton.
Really?
The Bears have a tough challenge. They got to go to Cincinnati. That with Joe Flacco in that offense, they couldn't beat Ricky Huntley.
You didn't hear though. Flacco's hurt.
Oh wow.
They might get Jake Browning.
They're going to get Jake Browning. Well, they couldn't beat Ricky Huntley, so I think Jake Browning's a step up from Ricky Huntley. So that's
by the way, did you see the look on Ben Johnson's face when Caleb Williams?
Yes.
Did you see that look?
Yes. That's not a good look if you're Caleb Williams.
No, that is if I can trade you and somebody will take you, you are gone.
I mean, you got to look at that draft now, right? I mean, Caleb Williams, if you had the chance to redraft, obviously Drake May is number 1. Bo Nix is probably 2. Daniels 3. And then JJ's an unknown quality, so Penix would be 4.
You know what? After Nixon in May?
But Caleb Williams,
it's a bunch of injury prone.
I think JJ could beat if JJ does well here. JJ could be ahead of Caleb Williams as far as that quarterback's in that draft. I mean, you got to hope so if you're a Viking fan, because if he's not,
because guess what? Our future is JJ.
It's JJ, and then of course the game we've been talking about, which we will predict here in just a moment. We'll give you our big 3 as well. Vikings travel to Detroit, and we'll do a quick inside the numbers. In fact, we'll do that right now. And these numbers, unfortunately, Tony, before we get to your X's and O's, are not good if you're a Vikings fan. Those numbers, I think, have changed. I believe the over and under is now up to 48 points. The under actually slipped to 8.5, or the plus minus was minus 8.5. I've seen it as high as 10. Vikings underdogs on the road. And here's the other aspect of it. The Lions have not lost to the Vikings under double digits in their last 3 home games. So that's not a good sign if you're the Minnesota Vikings going into this game with a shabby offensive line, a defense that's a sieve, and a quarterback making his 3rd start in the National Football
Well, the worst part is you're going into this game and you've got a coaching staff that look like they don't know what they're doing.
Have no clue what they're doing. That's a huge issue. No question. The money line, Vikings are at plus 390. The Lions minus 520. Lions have won 6 out of the last 7 in the series. What else do we got? Fantasy studs. Everyone in the Detroit Lions offense, if you got them on your team, they better be starting this week against that.
You know what? If you can, start the water boy, the equipment manager.
Put him in there against the Vikings.
Put him in
there. Laporta, all the receivers.
Laporta, I can see Laporta getting a touchdown and maybe about 50 yards.
I think so. I think Montgomery and Gibbs, they might go over 100 each. I mean, if we can't stop the run in the jumbo, those two could both be over 100 yards. I don't know the last time 2 running backs did it. Probably those two. So that's what the Vikings have to deal with. Vikings fantasy studs for Sunday, Tony, because we expect them to be behind a lot. I'm going to say Jordan Addison is going to get a lot of targets, and I also like Jettas as well. So I think that's certainly something to look for. Our big 3 going into the game, offensive line needs to be good. Run the damn football, please. Stop that guy that you see in the picture there, number 97.
Yeah, stop the guy that just got his payday.
Just stop him. Just figure out how you're going to stop him. Yeah, but I think more than anything, the offensive line's got to play the game of their life. Donovan Jackson got to play better than he has so far. Injuries are injuries.
Well, I'm going to come to Donovan's aid here because guess what? The pressure is not coming from Donovan's side. What they're doing is they're lining up on Brandel.
Yeah, that's right.
So
they're hovering over him.
They're hovering over Brandel. So 9 times out of 10,
they're coming up the middle. The worst place to get pressure, Tony, in the National Football League is where?
Up the middle.
Up the middle. So then, if you're a good coach, you start thinking rollouts. Let's get JJ do what JJ likes to do, which is throw on the run outside the pocket. Maybe we can see some of that planned in for this game because they're going to need it. Because the Lions are coming, and they're coming a lot. Because Shepard likes to put the pressure on. He's a very energetic defensive coach, and the players love him. And I don't know what he did with the ham and eggers, the guys walking off the street for the secondary, but they made Baker Mayfield look like Johnny Manziel last week. So the Vikings were.
Well, you know what? Though? Baker's been known to have those games, and some of Baker's wide receivers were gone.
Yeah, well, that's true. Evans was
and
out.
His number one running back
was out
too. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So he didn't have a lot to throw to either,
no.
Baker Mayfield. So,
no.
All right, that's our big 3. We did our inside the numbers. Now we got to go to the expert on the show, the man that played the game of football, the one and only Tony Bell with his X's and O's. Tony, what do you have for us this week?
It's very simple for both sides of the ball, for both coaches. For the play caller, the prime play caller, Kevin O'Connell for the Vikings, and for the defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, whose defense has looked suspect all season, except for one game against Cincinnati. This team on both sides of the ball has to make adjustments, and they have to make them quick. They need to make, if they wait or don't make them at all, Detroit is going to run away with this game.
Yes,
Detroit's going to put up, and I'm telling you something, folks, Dan Campbell would love to put 40 on this team.
Oh, yes, he would. He loves it. He would
love to put 40 on this team and rub it in our face.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game where KLC's got to pound the ball, take time off the clock. Even if you get a field goal, that's still 3 points. But don't put JJ out there and don't do to him what you did to him in Atlanta and part of the Chicago game.
Yeah, don't let him be a sitting duck. Let him do things that are his strength. Let him get outside the pocket. Let him have an RPO. Put that in the game plan this week.
Let JJ be JJ.
Yes, get
Bottom
him
line.
loose. It's
Bottom
we were
line.
talking about. We were talking about the offensive line gaining confidence, running the football.
Mm-hmm.
Get JJ McCarthy confident. Run some plays out of the Michigan playbook. You know that they.
And by the way, folks, we're hyping up Detroit like they're this great team. You know what? They're not really that good.
They've got a lot of injuries.
They've got a lot of injuries,
too.
and that defense outside of Hutchinson and maybe Azaloni is very average. Very average.
I think Rodriguez is coming back this week, though. That's a big plus for them.
Well, everybody comes back when they play the Vikings. I mean,
that's right. They're looking at, hey, that's a sack and a half.
Right.
I can get some.
And now with Flores, he's got to come up with. He's got it. We were talking about this at the beginning of the year. These different blitz packages, pass rush packages, blah 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 blah. I haven't seen it. Maybe that's because
I haven't either. He's been very base in the same thing.
It could be because
cover two, same structure. He's not really straight out of it. And you know, I don't know if it was you, Tony, or Bill said this. If you watch the first drive of the game, teams go right down the field and normally score against us. And so why don't you do something different early on in the game that maybe has to get Jared Goff thinking, oh, this Vikings defense, haven't seen this one in a while. What are they doing? What are they coming out of?
And here's another thing too. Maybe it is because Van Ginkel hasn't been out there, but could be. Maybe Van Ginkel is that big of a difference. But I mean, you as a defense coordinator got to work. He doesn't wake up. It's like he almost is like, okay, I'll give him the 7 points, but then I'm going to shut him down the rest of the game. That doesn't work anymore.
No, he's breaking too much. He's not just bending; he's breaking.
He's breaking.
He's breaking. And 37. I mean, the Chargers. I mean, I still see Vidal running for 5 or 10 yards on our defense. It's embarrassing if you can't stop the run. And this team that they're facing gives you the best two-headed spirit. What do they call themselves? Cerberus or whatever, the two-headed dog that just, or supersonic. This two-headed running game is the best in the football. We got one guy who's so quick with lightning speed, and the other guy's a bull looking to run right into you and pound you. You've got to have answers for this, and you can't just come out of the same base 3-4 cover 2 blitz 40% of the time. Baloney. You got to do something different because the Lions have seen you. They've seen you more than most teams, and they seem to like what you do because they seem to put up 30 points on the Vikings pretty easily, no matter where the game's played. Tony.
Well, by the way,
it can't happen.
This team can't come out slow like it has all year.
That's the other aspect.
That's another aspect. They cannot come out slow. They come out slow against this Lion team. This Lion team, if they keep with the same script that they've had week in and week out, especially the last 2 weeks, the Lions are going to have 21 points before the end of the first quarter.
I would love to see Tony. Now, granted, I'm doing everything that I'm saying we probably shouldn't do, but on the very first play against the Lions, I would call a flea flicker, and I would just toss it 50, however far JJ could throw it, right to Jettas, get him in the game. Whatever happens from that point on, turn that, just do something crazy right off the start and show Detroit, you know what, we're here. We know you guys are the gadget kings, right? You guys like to come up with all these plays. Well, here, take a flea flicker on the first play, and we're going to put it up deep against that secondary. I would love to think we could do it, but then I don't have the confidence in our offensive line that they're going to be able to get
I don't have the confidence in the offensive line. I also don't have the confidence in KOC to get the play out there in time. So then it's going to be a delayed game.
What? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, first play. That's more likely to happen. Vikings false start, delay game, or a flea flicker 60, 70 yard.
I'm going to think first play of the game, I'm going to say we're going to have a false start.
Yes, probably. It's something. It seems like the Vikings early in the games love to get their penalties over early. Watch the yellow flags go out there. It's always early in games. Later in games, they not as much. But I mean, Christ, the kickoff return last week, beautiful kick return. Miles Price. Wait, hold on.
Okay, first of all, I heard all training camp Tyler Batty was going to get cut. And you keep him around and you put him on special teams and he gets 2 penalties?
Two penalties. Tyler Batty. And there was no tush push that he had to worry about against the Chargers. And
No.
his expertise was not needed there. All right. So now it comes down to the time where we ask you all to make your picks. It's time for Tony and I to give you our 2-star picks, not 5-star, because I don't want to call this a 5-star pick that I'm giving you. I'm looking at this more like the Vikings are going to go into Detroit and probably do what most of us think they're going to do. Tony, I have well, first of all, let me give you some other ones from our page. Dave Tollefson, Lions 45, Vikings 10. Chipper Cripps, a forfeit. Okay, so we're not even going to try to play there. Mark Parisi, Lions 35-3. Torrey Holt, friend of ours, 84-13 Lions. 84-13 Lions. That's a little.
Yeah, that's reminiscent of Nebraska playing the Gophers in '83. That's the same damn score.
There's been scores that have gotten high like that, and I'm not putting that out. It's like it's crazy for me to think there's a possibility Detroit could get to 60 or 50. It's possible if they really wanted to, but we'll see how that goes. Now, Ted Camachis, you're the bravest soul of the bunch. You have the Vikings winning 19-17, old school NFC North. Central, I should say, NFC Central battle with that score. 1917 Vikings. The last win they had, Tony Bell, was 2021, a 37-35 win. The guy that we don't mention threw for 405 yards, 3 TDs. Is probably one of his best games as a Viking. Madison had a big game rushing. Jefferson had 9 catches for 133 yards. Adrian Peterson was the starting running back for Detroit on that day.
Yeah, he scored. He scored.
Yes. Do I see something like that happening? No, I think the Vikings will score some points. I think you will see J.J. McCarthy make some plays in this game to give us some hope. But the final score is going to be the Detroit Lions 41, the Minnesota Vikings 24. You're up, Tony.
All right, I got 2 scores. Worst case scenario, this used to happen all the time with the Vikings in the 80s. They go to Detroit and get beat by 40 points. Worst case scenario, they lose like 45-10, 45-17. I don't see them losing that bad. I see JJ making some plays.
Yeah.
I see McCarthy being he's going to show that fire. But I don't think we got the defense to slow that offense down.
That offense is a juggernaut.
I'm going Detroit 37, Minnesota 24.
It's a competitive. I mean, listen, if it's 37-24, 37-27, Vikings show some light.
Here's the thing, and it's not like Detroit is an invincible team. They're not.
They're not. They're not as good as they were last year, and they're certainly not as good as they were 2 years ago.
My problem with this Viking team is our personnel and our coaching staff. I'm sorry. I have no faith in Kevin O'Connell.
And unfortunately for us Viking fans, the roster's old. They're older.
They got old, and especially in the secondary, they got incredibly old.
I mean, Harrison Smith, unfortunately. Josh Metellus should not be covering wide receivers. No. I don't know what Flores is thinking. That should not happen.
Josh should actually be in the box. That's where he does.
In the box.
Yeah.
Let him do it. Let's see what McLaughlin has. Let him play cornerback. I don't care. Get some of the young guys out there. That's what, if the Vikings are in a situation where it's going to go south and this is the start of it,
yeah,
then let's see some of the young guys off the practice squad. We got to see what we got moving forward. And hopefully JJ will show us some glimpses, and hopefully the Vikings don't lose. Here's the last 3 final scores in Detroit, Tony. 34-23, 30-20, and 31-9 last year. So it's not good. It's double digits. But this is a divisional game. Some weird things are happening.
Yeah, anything's possible, and it is Detroit.
A lot of money's on Detroit. Maybe good old our buddy there, Clay Martin, is thinking to himself, I owe this team something.
Here's another thing, too. I always say this.
You never know.
Detroit will do Detroit things.
They have done some weird things.
To cost themselves. They will. All through history. So it's a possibility they could do it this Sunday. I don't see it happening. I just, I'm going
to hope you and I are at a point where there'd be nothing better than when we wrap up the show on Sunday then we're talking about the most incredible win for the Vikings in a very long time, because honestly, it could be a season saver. It could be a season saver because if they beat Detroit and JJ shows us that, you know what, here I am. I told you guys I'm him. Now I'm going to prove it to you. And his confidence level is through the roof. If you listen to him in his presser today, I advise you to do it. It's up on our page. He's very confident that he's going to do well, and they're going in there to win. So
if he pulls it off on Sunday, not only does he probably get me back, and I'm all in, but you're probably going to have most of these Viking fans that were on the fence,
right,
all in.
The ones that are already calling him a bust.
Right. Yeah. It's going to give the rest of the league and the rest of our opponents take notice. This is not Carson Wentz.
Right. This is J.J. McCarthy.
Now all you got
fourth quarter J.J. McCarthy from Chicago for a full game. I'm down with that.
If we could get that J.J. McCarthy for a full game,
I'm excited.
Win, lose, or draw, I'm fine.
Yeah. So any final thoughts, Tony, either on this week, looking ahead? The floor is yours.
It comes down to preparation, and this team has to be prepared, and that starts with the head coach.
Beautifully said. I'm going to add to that. For the Vikings organization, for their coaching staff, for how they handle this step, which is developing J.J. McCarthy, is maybe arguably the most important decision in the history of Minnesota Vikings football. I don't even want to mention what Tom Brady said about J.J. McCarthy. I want to talk about Fran Tarkenton, what he thinks of J.J. McCarthy. And Tommy Kramer, who played many years for the Vikings, gave his blood to the Vikings organization. They both think J.J. McCarthy is him. Go read what they're saying. Not what I'm saying, not what anyone else is saying. Read what they're saying. Don't listen to Colin Cowherd. Don't listen to the media hype, because media is not a friend of the Vikings right now. Jonathan Grenard will be the first one to tell you. Go listen to the players that have played the game. So is it incumbent for JJ to show a spark of light? Sure. But it really is, more importantly to what Tony just said, for Kevin O'Connell to show us that he's a head coach, to show us that he can put J.J. McCarthy in a situation to succeed, that he'll go to his strengths. If I see RPO on Sunday, I'm going to give Kevin O'Connell some flowers. If I see J.J. McCarthy rolling out, throwing the ball down the field, I'm going to give Kevin O'Connell some flowers. No matter what the score is, if I see him putting J.J. McCarthy in some of his strengths, I will know that he's trying to do the best by the Minnesota Vikings moving forward. This organization, we've laughed, we have smiled, we've celebrated, we've cried. We've given our time to this Minnesota Vikings team for way too long, Tony and I especially, and a lot of you out there, even longer than we have. It's time for Kwesi to be able to conduct business the way he wants it. It's time for them to get them drafts right, but most importantly, on Sunday in Detroit Ford Field, give us a glimpse of what the future may be.
Yeah.
And that's where we leave it. For Tony Bell, for Quality Control, doing an amazing job on the show sound and these pictures. We wish you all a very safe, a very happy Halloween. We all say, Tony Bell, hopefully it's a trick. Oh, hopefully it's a treat, not a trick for the Vikings on Sunday. That would be terrific. But for Tony Bell, I wish you the best this weekend. And to all you out there, God bless. Skol, everybody.
Thanks for watching. We'll be back after the game on Sunday to break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of the game. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and tell your friends to join our Skol Squad. See you next time. Skol!